All right, here we go. Maino, welcome back to Vlad TV.
We back, Vlad. What we talking about?
That's right, with lots to talk about.
I don't know how I became like a recurring guest. This is crazy.
A regular guest. I told you it was going to happen.
Yeah,
you're like, I don't know, maybe. Last time you're kind of like, I don't know.
I don't know about
but here you are. Here you are.
I'm back. What's happening?
Shannon Sharpe.
Oh, wow. Damn.
Yeah.
My only thing with him, man, listen, man, a man can do whatever he want to do, right?
True.
That's what a man can do, right? But, you know, for me personally, I wouldn't want to be laying in bed, jumping in the sack with a 19-year-old.
When you're 50-something.
Yeah, like that's just a bit too young for me. Just the conversation, what we talking about, what we into. I don't really feel like we got really much in common. I don't really want to be jumping in the sack, cuddling with nothing that, you know, in the age range of my son. And he 22.
Huh. Okay.
That's just me, though.
Yeah. Well, look, she was legal at the time.
Legal is one thing.
Right. So there's nothing illegal about that relationship.
Right. It's just,
let's just put that out there.
You know what I'm saying? My morals.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? My principles. I got to draw the line somewhere, and I'm a pretty out there kind of guy. You know, when it comes to, you know, my relationships as far as women. So it's like I probably do a lot, you know, more than the average man. So well, my thing is, I draw the line on that. I don't even want it that young.
What's your minimum age?
Because shit just start to sound stupid to me. So I don't even, and I got a short patience when it comes to stupid talk.
Yeah.
So, you know, if we out somewhere, I don't really want it past 25. I don't know if I even want to go past 25. I don't know. Like, I never had a number.
Yeah.
You know, but I guess the maturity level when you hear somebody talk, when I listen to that lady talk, I'm like, what? How you even did that?
Yeah, she sounds dumb.
Right.
And I'm not saying that every 19-year-old is dumb, but this sounds like a dumb 19-year-old.
Right, this didn't sound like a mature 19-year-old.
Yeah.
She sounded spectrum-ish.
Autistic, maybe.
Like, yeah.
Well, she's an OnlyFans model, so there's that.
I like OnlyFans. I ain't got a problem with no.
Yeah,
with
but you know something? I think like Charlamagne and Andrew Schultz was saying, like, if you start messing with an OnlyFans girl, you can't be surprised when something goes wrong.
Right. But
because they're already out there and they're already trying to push themselves in that type of way. And if they got a celebrity man with them, then hey.
They already hustlers.
They're already hustling,
listen, you got a more mature OnlyFans women. If you was gonna take a shot, take a shot.
Right.
With something a little bit more, you know.
In their 30s maybe, you know?
Yeah,
there's some
late
bad
20s, early 30s.
Listen, there's some bad 30-year-olds, 35-year-olds.
Super bad.
Super bad. There's some bad 40-something-year-olds.
Super bad.
How old is Bernice, what's her name?
Yeah, Bernice is 40 plus.
Right.
Yes.
Still bad.
Super bad.
Super bad.
Yes.
Exactly. I'm just saying.
Yeah, by any nigga standards.
Right. And apparently they had a BDSM kind of relationship. A lot of, beating and choking and consensual and so forth.
Right.
But now she's actually accusing him of choking her, anal sex without a condom.
But she wanted that, right? Well, did she have a text saying she wanted him to fuck in her ass?
No, there's a text message saying that you fucked me in the ass without a condom, and I'm not okay with that, regardless of our previous situation.
Yeah, that sounds a little setup-ish to me. That sound a little setup-y. Those text messages sound a little, scripted. Like, I'm gonna say this just to get it on record.
Yeah, plus recording the phone calls.
Right.
And the thing is, like, I'm gonna say this in Shannon's defense. Listen, me and Shannon don't really get along, so it is what it is. But I'm saying in his defense, as someone who's gone through a number of lawsuits, I know a snippet from a telephone conversation might look crazy to the public.
Yeah, right.
But when it comes to a court of law, you can only submit a recording if you give the entire master recording.
Context.
The source. If you can't show, okay, look, this was on my phone, it was 10 minutes long, here's the 30 seconds from, but here's the other part. Because you don't know, before the whole choking conversation could have been like, okay, look, let's do a little role play, a little choking.
Right,
okay, you ready?
right.
You ready? Okay, cool, let's go.
Right.
Yo, I'm gonna choke you. Oh no, don't choke me. Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
Context,
like, that type of thing. So
it could be anything.
It could be anything. But the crazy part to me is the fact that he even put this out there, that they offered her $10 million and she turned it down.
Who offered her $10 million?
Shannon Sharpe. His own lawyers put this out, said they offered her $10 million as a settlement and she turned it down.
Oh, so that's what scares me right there. if they felt the need to offer her 10 million, then that means she got something on them.
Not necessarily.
No?
Not necessarily. Because you got to think there's a $100 million deal in the works. You know, they're saying that his podcast was supposed to be a big deal.
She got enough to make what's happening happen now.
Well, yeah, exactly. Now, it could just be, listen, I didn't do anything wrong, but just take this 10 million so you don't mess up this 100 million that's coming.
Got it.
Because that's what's happening right now.
It is, right.
He had to step down from ESPN. I'm sure that $100 million deal is on hold for the moment. I'm sure of it. And now he's dealing with all types of problems.
And he got other females coming out. This is what I'm saying. Like, this be a lesson to me and to a lot of niggas that's outside. Like, gotta be careful on who you allow, you know, your energy to, because that's.
Look, I had Tony Yayo here yesterday,
right.
And he said that based on what he's seen, you could tell that Shannon Sharpe was never a street guy.
A nigga from the streets is not even offering 10 million.
But she's getting a $10 million offer, which Shannon Sharpe's own lawyers put out there.
Nah, but what I'm saying is, like Shannon he's a football player, he's a good guy, but he's not like from the streets. Nigga ain't, I don't think a nigga would even try to give like 10 million, would even have made that offer.
Because a street guy would have never offered a woman $10 million.
Bro, him being a street guy is not even, we don't even need to make that assessment.
But this is Tony saying, not me.
Right,
yeah.
Understand. That statement don't even need to be made because we already know he's not.
Yeah, that's true. He's a football player.
Right. He's like, honestly, I thought he was gay. 100%.
With those outfits and the little, little man purse and all that.
His name is Shay Shay. The way he talked,
Shay Shay.
the way he moving around, I thought he was gay. 100%.
Well, right. Remember there was that sex recording that came out and everyone thought he's just putting it out there to make himself look straight?
No disrespect. Like, I don't, and I'm not big on football. I don't really watch football, so I didn't really, you know, he wasn't really somebody I really knew about like that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I thought, I didn't know who he was, really, so.
Well, now that this came out, there was other stories that are popping up, and apparently, you know, allegedly, he had actually choked a female production assistant when he was at Fox, and there was a multi-$100,000 settlement that came from it.
Oh, so he did settle that one?
Yeah, there was no lawsuit, but apparently there was a settlement.
But do they know for sure it was because of that? Like, is that confirmed that it was over that?
That's what they say. That's what they say. These stories are coming out, man. And yeah, I mean, according to a couple of news outlets, before Sharpe's time at ESPN, he was the co-host for FS1's Undisputed. That's, remember, it was Skip Bayless. So he was accused of choking a female production assistant in the workplace. 2 sources with knowledge of the incident tell Front Office Sports. One source said that Sharpe and Fox settled with the accuser for several $100,000. There was no lawsuit filed against Sharpe in the incident. You know what Shannon Sharpe's favorite kind of necklace is?
A choker.
Yep.
That's not fucking funny, Vlad.
It's a little funny.
That's not fucking
it's a little funny.
No,
when you said it.
No. Yeah.
It's a little
That's
funny.
That's not funny.
No?
Yeah, don't laugh at that.
It's a little funny.
No.
I thought it was a little
not
funny.
No.
You're the one who said it, though. You could have just sat there and not said nothing.
It's all right. Yeah. I got it.
Listen, me and Shannon don't get along.
No,
Everyone
it's all
knows
right.
that.
Don't take your shit out on him right now. Yeah.
We never got along, though. It is what it is. We didn't get along before this.
Don't kick the man while he going through this, man.
Well, he was kicking me when I was going through some of my stuff, so you know.
I don't know nothing about Shannon. I don't know.
That's what it is.
It is what it is.
He blocked me on Twitter too. That's
all right.
That's one of those things.
Your feelings wasn't hurt, Vlad.
No, they weren't.
All right.
I just found it a little bit funny.
Yeah.
You know, but look, I mean, and I guess like looking at the female, and I'm like, she's like a 6 on a good day. I'm looking at this going like, damn, like you worth probably like $100 million.
The thing about certain men, they like to have like younger females. I guess for in their mind it allows them to have more power over them. I don't know. You know, it's like I can control more because you may need me, or I'm way more experienced than you. Mm-hmm. You know, I can give you the direction and correction that I know you need because I'm more like a father figure. That ain't never been my thing, but that's just a lesson learned. Stay away from that type of shit. That's too young for me, man.
Yeah, I remember there's an episode with Monique that resurfaced where she's like, you need to get yourself an old bitch.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
saw that.
You need to get yourself an old lady.
I saw that.
Like, oh no, I ain't
saw
gonna do that.
He
And
like
he's
what he like. He said he don't date his age, he date his wage, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's your wage though.
That's your wage though. Yeah, I'm just saying.
That ain't even
and the thing is
that
that
ain't even no real pressure right there. That
Nah.
wasn't even like nothing serious like that. When I looked at that, I wouldn't be like, damn, that's a serious bitch right there. Like, damn, like that's a lot
I'm
of
saying
pressure.
a 6 on a good day. A 6 on a
wasn't
good day.
about-
But then they showed his ex, and he's into like this skinny white girl kind of
That's
thing.
his thing. That might be his thing.
His thing. Plus, there's all
That's
types
his
of
thing.
sort of like kind of racial play when you see some of their interactions.
Yeah?
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he likes
role
to.
playing.
Yeah, he likes to role play, and
Yeah, that's his thing, man. Hey,
that's
look.
his thing. I mean, listen, man. At the end of the day, I know how it is.
So
You know, I just want to say this. I just listen. I've been cracking jokes and everything, but at the
Right.
end of the day, I hope he gets out of this.
Right.
And we don't have any real problems. It's just
Nah, it
some
ain't about
professional
shit.
back and forth,
Right.
professional, competition. I get it, but the problem is that when you are at a certain level financially, visibly, you know, in terms of being a celebrity, you do become a target these days. And these types of situations, because at the end of the day, this could all end up being nothing. You could hear all the source tapes and you'll see that she was in on it and it was a game and everything was cool. There was no, forced anything or anything else like that. And I hope he just walks away from it and ends up going back to his career. I'm going to say that. Yes, I'm going to do the choker jokes and all that type of stuff because that is a little funny, but I don't really wish this on him, and I hope he turns out okay from it.
What is this BDSM? That's what they was into.
Bondage.
That's what he's into with all his.
Yeah.
Right, but I understand. Like,
Yeah, it stands for bondage, discipline, or domination, sadism, and masochism. Thank you.
right, so that she straps on and hits him, right?
Well, it might be both ways.
So they hit each other.
We don't know. It could go either way. It could be the man being humiliated by the woman. It could be the woman being humiliated by the man. You know, like the cuck world kind of goes into this as well. You know, that's Kanye's new album title, Cuck. You didn't know that?
You cap.
No, I'm serious.
You cap right now. You cap.
No, I'm serious.
I don't know why you came over here with this. You cap.
You think I'm joking?
Yes.
Okay. He actually said, he tweeted today, he said, I'm no longer black, I'm a Caucasian. Yes.
I mean, ain't no telling.
Listen to it. It's a damn Wikipedia
Yeah,
page.
yeah.
The Cuck album
Wow.
by Kanye West. And to be fair, I had heard stories about Kanye being into this. Like there was this porn
watching
chick.
his.
This porn chick, I forgot what her name is, said that Kanye contacted her and wanted her to get a dude to sleep with his wife. And he wanted a dude that's bigger than this male porn star named Dredd, who's considered like the biggest dude in the game. And she's like, I don't know anyone bigger than Dredd. I don't know if it exists. But he's like, no, I want someone bigger than Dredd.
To fuck whose wife?
His wife,
That
Bianca.
Oh my God, niggas shit just get weirder and weirder then, huh?
I mean, you know, he wears a Ku Klux Klan
Oh,
outfit
my
during
God.
interviews. He's got an iced out swastika.
Hey, listen, look, that could be his thing. Which she was with it.
I mean, I guess. I mean, she did leave him for a while. I guess she's back now.
Hey, listen.
Have you met Kanye?
Yeah.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. I interviewed him a long, long time ago before Vlad TV. Mm-hmm. Same Kanye that you see now. Mm-hmm. Same craziness, like same like super ego, even before his first hit record. At the time, he played me slow jams in the studio for the first time.
Right.
That was his first hit song, right?
No, In the Wire.
Through the Wire?
Through the Wire.
I wouldn't consider Through the Wire his first hit song. That was his first single, and I thought it did well. It was more of an underground kind of thing, but like Slow Jams was the one that turned into a #1 record. It kind of became, you know, he was no longer Kanye the producer that raps, he's actually Kanye the rapper, I feel. But yeah, same Kanye, but the new Kanye is very interesting. The story with him and his cousin. He made a song about it.
He made a song about that? What's the song?
You want to hear it?
Whoa.
I'll play it for you.
Well, hold on. Before you play anything but where a nigga talking about putting meat in his mouth, hold on. Is this a song he did after that tweet?
That was the song he posted with the tweet. It's actually on Spotify right now.
I didn't know he had a song out, bro.
Want to play it for you?
Is he talking about meat eating and all that? I'm cool on that. I don't need to hear
That's exactly what he's talking
that.
about.
I don't need to hear that. I read the tweet. I'm cool.
I'll give you the gist of it because I had to re-listen to it to prepare for my various interviews.
Right.
But basically he was saying, I think when he was like 14, his cousin I think was 11, his male cousin, they had found some magazines that, I guess it was a gay magazine of dudes that were giving each other
Started
head.
practicing what they saw.
And he started doing it. And the chorus is, I suck my cousin's dick. That's the chorus.
Yeah, definitely don't play that for me. I don't need that.
Yeah, I can't unhear it, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I don't want to be where you at.
Yeah. Yeah. The song has 1.3 million streams right now on Spotify, in case you were wondering. I just don't know, like, I mean, not only are you gay, but you're also a child molester. Right? The gay shit is whatever. You want to be gay, be gay. I don't care.
I mean, he wouldn't necessarily technically be a child molester because he was a child himself.
So, a 14-year-old engaging in sexual activity with a younger child is not considered, well, I guess I see what you're saying,
They're
but.
both children.
So the older child can't be charged with doing something to the younger child?
I mean, he's 14, he's 11. I mean.
Okay, so let's just say a 17-year-old sexually assaults an 11-year-old.
No, that's a difference.
Why is it different? They're both children.
No, but once you pass 16, you consider what? A young adult?
Are you?
Yeah, because in New York State you are. You get sentenced to 25 to life.
What about Chicago? What about Illinois?
I don't know the rules, but I know in New York State, once you're 16, you can, 15 and under, you get you still a juvenile.
I mean, look, apparently, I think he mentioned that the cousin is in prison for life over a murder. And now that I think about it, I wonder if that activity somehow influenced him later in life in terms of being violent.
So he probably had all those demons going off in his mind and his head. You know, he buried himself in music and his craft, but...
No, I'm not talking about Kanye, I'm talking about the cousin.
I'm talking about Kanye.
See, what about the cousin, though? The fact that his cousin is in jail for murder, could that be somehow, in terms of his violent adulthood, could that be with dealing with the memories of...
I would think so. I would think anybody that been, and I'm just assuming, I don't know. I don't got a degree in psychology, but I'm thinking like, coming from the hood, we all deal with certain levels of trauma.
Right.
We all got, certain issues. Growing up in a house where your father might be on drugs, your mother might be dabbling in drugs. Those things start to affect you. So if you was a nigga that maybe been touched on or been molested, or that could probably turn you into a more displaced anger kind of guy. Like you could be more violent, because you might even be trying to fight those sexual demons. You might even be trying to fight off that feeling because you coming outside where everybody's saying, being gay ain't cool. You going outside in an era and in a time when that's looked down upon. So you don't want nobody else to know that you having feelings or attraction for men. So you doing your damnness to fight against that.
But here's what makes it worse, right? Most people that get molested is by people that nobody's ever seen or heard, right?
What you mean?
But here you are, you got molested as a child, and this person's music who molested you is playing on the radio every day in Chicago. There's huge concerts.
But we don't know see, that's the thing though, Vlad, and let's not take things out of context and put things in somebody else's mind, because we don't know if that's the way he looked at that, right? This is not a situation where there was an adult that molested a child, then that is different, right? Two young kids doing some shit that they seen, we don't know how he looks at that. He may look at it like, damn, I was with my cousin. I don't know if I don't know. It's just that they so close in age and they both was probably impressionable and they ain't know what they was doing, I don't know. You keep saying molesting an underage kid like a 14-year-old is overage.
Listen, right around 14 is when I first started watching porn as well, right? I was exposed to that around that age. A little bit younger in terms of like, Playboy magazines and stuff like that. But I think my first porn movie, my friend Mark, I was in junior high, he brought it over to my house, we watched it together. You know what I'm saying? I could tell you without a shadow of a doubt that during that time when I was watching more porn, never wanted to suck a dick.
I get
just
that.
Never did.
Me either. But everybody develops.
I wanted to get my dick sucked by a woman, 100%, but I didn't want to go 100%, mess with a dude. In fact, hold on, I'll even tell you a better one. The first porn I ever saw was Ron Jeremy, and I've never seen this before afterwards. He sucked his own dick.
No, that's some weird shit. You could just save that one. You could have saved that one. Listen, check this out.
Okay.
The thing is this, though, Vlad. Every child develops differently, right? So at 14, that's where you was at. At 14, I had shot people already. At 14. At 14, I definitely had shot people before. I shot my friend. I had already been playing around with pistols at 14, right? And definitely already fucking girls. But everybody developed differently. We don't know what was going on in that man's life. We don't know what was going on in their household to make them
he said that his mom was a lesbian. He said that he had walked in on like his mom sleeping with his female babysitter.
Yeah, they probably was seeing shit in this house that was gay. So he started to have gay outbreak or whatever, or like do gay shit or copy gay shit.
Yeah. Now, at one point, Cameron said that Kanye and R. Kelly put a stain on Chicago, right? And Kanye responded, and he was like, how Cam gonna say did anything bad for Chicago? Chicago loves me. I love Cam. It's dudes like you that had me shook to release a song, but I ain't scared of y'all dudes anymore. Thank you for making Dipset, you're a god. And fuck you, by the way, and I got on my $2 million Dipset as I tweet. My $2 million Dipset belt as I tweet. And then Cameron responded, I don't usually go back and forth with dudes that suck dick. Which is really the funniest response. I was just on Cam's show recently. He was telling me about this other, he was talking about this other dude that like was trying to diss him, but the dude like had a video where he was sucking dick. He's like, I don't usually respond to dudes that suck dick.
You can't.
Like,
you can't.
Where am I? Where am I at during this conversation?
It's over.
Like,
it's over.
Yeah, crazy times that we live in, man. It's crazy. It's just downright crazy. And the thing is, Kanye says so many crazy things that everyone's going like, well, did he really do it? Did he not do it? Is he just trolling?
Right.
Is he not?
I felt like that. Like he may not.
He's pushing an album? Is this what he's doing for promo? Like,
right.
We don't know. The cousin hasn't said anything. But imagine, like, listen, you've been in jail for a long time. Imagine what life was like for his cousin that day. Comes out of cell, just a normal day like any other. Goes to the chow line. Everyone's looking at him.
When nobody know he talking about him, do people
man,
specifically
he probably,
know?
Man, Kanye's my cousin. Yeah, that's my homie. We grew up together. Yeah, you know, he used to babysit me. Oh, no, he's
now
superstar.
Everybody on the compound know that.
Yeah.
Kanye was sucking his meat.
Right. Everyone's looking at him. He's like, wonder why everyone's looking at me. The gay table's just staring at him. You know. Probably a very hard day for that man. Let me tell you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big U, somebody that you and I both know.
Right.
In fact, you were on his Checking In podcast at one point. He came to Brooklyn, right?
Yep.
I'm going to say this before I keep talking. Me and Big U have always been cool. I remember like when I had Wack on my show, he was like, yo, man, is someone like, pressuring you to talk nicely about Big U right now? I'm like, nah, me and him was cool. Me and him was cool before he got arrested. I'm not going to change my tune now. He did my show. We kept in contact. We spoke a few times a year. Never had a bad experience with Big U, ever. You, I assume, probably had a similar kind of relationship considering that you did his podcast.
Yeah, we was cool.
We was cool.
Yeah.
When you heard about the whole RICO indictment, what did you think?
Unfortunate. Anytime I hear about anybody catching a RICO indictment, it's unfortunate. In me and my personal life, I got close friends, very close friends that's battling RICO, so I deal with that up front, You know, I'm at the courthouse.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
I'm down on those visits, you know, for mine. So when it comes to hearing about this person or that person catching a RICO charge, I think it's fucked up.
Yeah. It's a 43 count indictment. 1 count of conspiracy to violate RICO, 2 counts of conspiracy to interfere with commerce by robbery and extortion, which is the Hobbs Act, 1 count of Hobbs Act robbery, 9 counts of attempted Hobbs Act extortion, 5 counts of Hobbs Act extortion, 1 count of transportation of individual for interstate commerce with intent to engage in prostitution, that's the Mann Act, 15 counts of wire fraud, 5 counts of embezzlement, 1 count of bank fraud, 1 count of tax evasion, 2 counts of willful failure to file a tax return. And then, which I don't think is part of the Fed indictment, this might be a state case, because it was mentioned in the Fed paperwork. In the announcement,
Right.
there was the whole accusation of a murder of an aspiring rap artist named R.W.
But they didn't charge him with that.
It wasn't in the actual federal indictment, but when you look at the press release from the
Right,
feds, and I looked it up, there's a mention of it.
There's a mention of
which
it,
is
yeah.
odd.
They even talked about it in the press release.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Why do you think they talked about it as probably the most serious, well, not even probably, the most serious crime in the whole thing? They talk about it, mention it, but it's not in the indictment.
They always add unindicted conduct though. Feds, like they try to sentence you for that unindicted conduct.
Huh.
So say like you got caught for, selling 1 brick, right? But they got information, or somebody told them that you sold 10 more, right? Even though they didn't indict you for that 1, they would try to basically level you up and push up your guidelines, enhance you because of that unindicted conduct. You don't know about that? Look that
That's
up.
crazy.
Yeah.
So you mean to tell me if you got indicted for, let's say, drug dealing, right? Let's just say I got indicted for drug dealing, right? They could say, well, he also did some murders, but we're not sure, but we think he did some more murders around this drug dealing activity.
They add that, even though you're not indicted. Absolutely.
And not even charged or anything.
I'm dealing with that right now with a friend of mine right now.
Really?
1,000%. My brother was sentenced like that.
Yeah, look, I talk to a lot of the top lawyers because I interview them on the show, and I keep in contact with them. They become my friends over the years. And what they all say is all these cases, like the YSL RICO case, ASAP Rocky case, all these cases that these celebrities are winning, these are all state cases. In the feds, it's a whole different ballgame.
It is.
Like like the whole the little Woody situation, getting on the stand and changing a story and acting all crazy, and then ultimately, same thing with like the Tory Lanez case. Like remember the girl, what's her name? Megan's friend who
Right.
got on the stand and started changing the whole story.
Right.
That shit don't happen in the feds when it comes to witnesses. When a witness says, okay, I'm going to cooperate and I'm going to take the stand, they get on the stand and start changing their story, end up with life in prison over that shit.
But that's if they got life up over their heads, though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If that's what they're playing with, you can't get on the stand and start messing up the case.
I don't think Woody had life over his head.
No, I'm
though.
not saying that, but what I'm saying, that was a state case.
Right. Well, feds already play a different game to begin with.
Yeah.
But look at what they doing with Puff. He got a one-man RICO.
But you know something? I've talked to some lawyers. That's a real thing.
It is a real thing.
Yeah, I thought this was just something they're trying to create
He got
for him.
what they call unindicted co-conspirators.
Yes.
You see?
Yeah.
So they use the unindicted co-conspirators as informants and witnesses.
Well, today's April 29th when we're filming this. His trial's on May 5th. It's like next week.
Yeah, that's when it starts.
That's when it starts. I've interviewed Puff before. I don't know him like that. We talked about it. Yeah, you've had interactions with Puff. If you were to guess how this particular trial will end up, what do you think?
I don't like to guess. For one, playing with the feds is a very scary game because they don't really play fair, bro. Like you just said, like the shit that goes on the state gives you a little bit more leeway to play with. You know, they create a narrative, they indict you on that narrative, and then they prosecute you on the narrative, right? They use the words of other criminals who turn informant, who have things over their heads, right? They cross-reference that with another criminal who has something over his head, and they in courtroom point you out, and now you convicted on hearsay, you convicted on the word of a fucking another criminal. It ain't really fair. It's not fair at all. So I can't predict how it's gonna go out. I would hope he could get around that shit.
I've been saying for a while that I think Diddy's gonna beat this case. Now,
You told me that.
yeah. Well, now I know some people that are close to this case. What they told me was interesting. What they said was that the problem with this case on Diddy's side is that he is so jumpy to try to get out of prison that he's speeding things along and not really listening to his lawyers. Meaning, all those bond requests, one after another, all of them getting turned down, wasn't a great idea. Obviously didn't work out for him. And what this person said was, this case is 100% beatable. In fact, it's really what appears to be a domestic violence case that just exploded into a whole conspiracy, RICO, operation, trafficking, whatever. But really, it's him and his ex-girlfriend beat each other up because they would get high all the time, and they had a.
That's what it really is.
That's what they just had a
That's
messed
what it
up,
really is.
messed up, violent,
Right,
drug-fueled
that's it.
relationship. That's
it.
really what I
It's
see
not
this
a RICO.
as.
It's not this.
It's not a RICO. Yes, there's wild sex parties, but I
Right.
don't think anyone was forced to do anything.
I 100%. Me and you agree.
How many parties have you been to where there's drugs available, and if you want some, you could take them?
There you go. I've
I've been to plenty.
I've been
I'm
to
not
many.
I'm not a drug
And
guy. I'm a
any-
weed guy. I'm
and
not a
any-
cocaine
and
guy,
any-
so I've always turned it down.
And any drug I was ever introduced to, or anything I've ever witnessed, I've never seen a woman have to be persuaded to do that. Usually, girls is like, "Hey, baby, you want to try this?"
Yeah.
Hell, the fuck no.
Where's the Molly at?
Yeah,
Like, they're usually
hell no.
asking for it.
Anything I ever was introduced to was by a female.
Right. So what I'm saying is nobody was forced to take drugs.
Nah.
Was there some prostitution? I'm sure there was, but I'm
So,
sure the prostitutes
okay,
were
they wanted-
happy.
they was
We're happy
they
to
wanted-
get that.
That's what they need to bring to the court.
Well,
They
you know,
need to bring the prostitute to the court and say, "Listen, Your Honor, I want to sell my pussy."
yeah.
Like what? Like, listen, I've been selling pussy. I'm in Vegas. I'm on OnlyFans. I'm in Miami. I'm flying to Dubai. I'm in LA. I'm in New York sometimes. I'm doing call outs, right? I'm doing in calls.
Yeah.
I'm going to dinners, right? I'm fucking with rich men. Okay. This is not the only person that I partied with and did things. Everything was consensual. I want
Right.
to sell pussy. This is how I make my living. They need to march them down in, and they need to be witnesses and say they want to sell their pussy. That should be like, what the fuck is the problem?
Right. Or the guys that were involved, because there was male prostitutes as well.
Okay, so
Whatever.
It's the same thing.
Same
What's
thing.
the difference?
They're selling ass.
Because if nobody is making you do something that you don't want to do,
Yeah.
right? When it comes to sex, then what is really the problem?
I completely agree with you. And what this person told me is this case is winnable, but they needed to have pushed it back about a year to let the lawyers create the defense they need to create. And look, just recently, they tried to push the trial back like 2 months and the judge struck it down. Brian Steele joined the case, but he's joined really late. So that's the whole thing that this person told me, is that if Diddy had just sat back in jail and said, look, I am where I am, but I have to let my lawyers do their
Right,
job.
time. They always tell you sometimes time works in your favor,
Most times it works in your favor.
right?
Yeah.
But
Witnesses die, they
right, all
forget.
that. But in this case, I mean, I don't know. What's the fuck is the witnesses other than Cassie? Who's a witness?
There's a bunch of them. I've talked to some of them.
Is there are they victim/witnesses?
I've talked to at least one person who
I know
claims they're
in
a part of
indictment
it.
it was victim 1, but was there another?
There was a guy I talked to who said he's really on neither side.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And he told me how he was involved and so forth. He wanted to do an interview, but he wanted to do it behind shadows.
And what did he say he was involvement?
I don't want to say because it was a private conversation,
Right.
and I don't want to put this out there, especially with the trial about to come out. But he said he was involved in some of the stuff that we all hear about, and he's going to be taking the stand. He was witness, I'm not going to say, but he was one of the witnesses mentioned, and he's going to be taking the stand. But he said he's on neither side. He's just going to say what it is. He's not for the prosecution or the defense. But I got the impression, once again, nobody's being held against their will. So
Right.
there's a reasonable chance that he could win, except that you're fighting against the feds. And I remember I talked to a top lawyer about this, and I'm like, you always hear about this 98% conviction rate. Is that because everybody pleads out? Like, is it 98% in court? He goes, it's close to 98% in court too.
What, at trial, you mean?
At trial, yeah. He said it's pretty
Yeah.
close to that. Maybe 95, 90, but still very, very hard to beat.
Yes.
You never had a Fed case, right?
No.
Just state.
But my brother, definitely.
Your brother?
My friends, yeah.
Really? Your brother who got shot, or a different brother?
My brother Mouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a Fed case.
Yeah, the Fed case. Who you talking about, 80?
The one who manages Lola
That's
Brooke.
80, yeah.
That's what you're talking
He
about?
had a Fed case before, yeah. He had a Fed case before.
What was it over?
He had drugs. Yeah.
Okay, and did
When he
he
was
bleed
younger.
out?
Yeah, this is still a teenager back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I remember I interviewed Ali Siddiq, the comedian from Houston, and he had a drug case, buying 4 kilos. Mm-hmm. He said, he just described the whole situation when the feds swooped in and everything.
Mm-hmm.
He said, they put him in the back room, and they're like, all right, so who are you working with? He goes, I don't know. He said, this dude grabbed him, pulled him in, and punched him in the face as he was pulling him in and said, God damn it, I'm the feds. You think we're joking right now? And he said he went to court, and the prosecutor told the judge that she recommends 99 years. He said, bitch, who are you talking to? His lawyer's like, what are you doing right now? She said 99 years, what am I supposed to say?
99 years, recommended.
The lady said, I'll never get this. I'm sitting with my first attorney, and that lady said, I recommend 99 years. And I said,
God damn.
I said in court, bitch, who you think you called?
Wait, so this is the DA saying that?
Yes.
99 years.
99 years. And I was like, and I couldn't, I'm like, what you think you called?
So he called her a bitch right there in court. He ended up doing 15 and I think serving like 5 or something. Yeah. Yeah, man, I think we're all scared of the feds. Honestly, that's a group that you don't want. I mean, I'm trying to think who's beating the feds that I've interviewed. I mean, Irv and Chris Gotti, they beat the feds.
It has happened, but, we just hear more of the horror stories.
Yeah. Yeah. Little Durk case.
Mm-hmm.
Actually being represented by Drew Findling, who ironically enough is also representing NBA YoungBoy.
Wow. Ironic.
Ironic, ain't it? He also represented YFN Lucci, Big Meech, Tyrese, Lil Baby, Da Baby, Boosie.
All the rappers.
Yeah, Young Dolph. Dolph called him the $1 billion lawyer. So they put out something very interesting about the whole Durk situation. Some of the Durk case is based on his music, right? And there's a song that came out that they say was about the murder of Lil Pop. And in the song, there's these screams that you hear throughout the song, and it's the same audio from when Quando Rondo was screaming when he found out his cousin was dead, right? But what they showed, this is very interesting. This shows how the feds aren't always perfect in their investigations. That original recording never had those screams. In fact, it was recorded before the shooting ever happened. Once it came out, the internet, like the YouTubers, they put that little scream on top of it to make it sound
Word.
extra. You know how it goes.
Oh yeah.
You know how people like
Yeah,
take
yeah.
audio and video and kind of enhance it.
Wow.
And when you look at the timestamps of all the ones with the scream, it doesn't coincide with the original recording and the original sound files and everything else like that. The feds just missed that. So based on that, there's another bond request where they're offering $1 million in cash, $900,000 in real estate, $150,000 from an associate, and 24/7 armed security and electronic monitoring to try to secure a release for Durk while he's awaiting trial.
Yeah.
Interesting, right?
Yeah, that's definitely interesting. I was hearing something about the song. So this already confirmed that song was made before.
Well, this is what the lawyer is saying.
What is the government saying?
Well, it was submitted and it's now under review. But it sounds legit. It actually makes a lot of sense.
So the internet added the screams to the song.
The internet added the screams. Pretty wild, right? And I guess they never really did the due diligence, the feds, of checking the timestamps or whatever. They thought, okay, here's the song, here's the audio, must be real. But this came out on like other people's YouTube channels and TikTok and whatever else.
Right, it wasn't from the official release.
It wasn't the official release.
That's a good one for Durk, you know.
That is a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Me and you had conversations about the Durk
Right,
situation.
we have.
And look, at the end of the day, if Durk goes free and it's proven that he had nothing to do with it, then I'll say, listen, my mistake, you know?
Your mistake for what?
Well, in terms of what I've said about it.
Right.
Right? Because, you know, I'm not one of the ones saying free Durk and so forth because I know Quando Rondo.
I'm
And
definitely saying free Durk. Definitely.
that's cool.
100 million.
That's cool, man.
Definitely.
And I respect you saying it.
Yeah,
and listen,
definitely.
at the end of the day,
we talked about this.
We talked about this,
yeah.
right? So at the end of the day, if he goes free, I'm gonna be like, okay, listen, I made a mistake. You know, I'm
Right.
glad he's free. Apparently, he had nothing to do with it, and so forth. But to me, with everyone I've talked to and so forth, this song thing is great. You know, and hopefully he can get a bond and you know live at home while he's awaiting trial. But the biggest problem is not the song.
What's his biggest problem?
His co-defendants.
So they telling.
We don't know. Because the government keeps this very tight until the trial is about to happen. They're not going to announce that all these guys are cooperating. Those guys might disappear. You know what I'm saying? Think about that. And this is the game that the feds play. They
Right.
don't have to tell you who their witnesses are
Right.
until the very end.
Right. So you can't even be prepared.
You can't even be prepared. That's the biggest problem. And this problem is so
See,
huge.
when you see that, like that's not even a fair game. Like
not.
It's not even a fair.
Is it ever though?
It's
Is
never
it ever a fair
but
game
at
with the
least in the
feds?
state, you know who's your witnesses. You know, pulling up at court, not knowing who about to walk in, is crazy.
No, I think they'll know, but it'll be shortly
It'll be
before
short
the trial
no- right,
starts.
it's short
They won't
notice.
be able to prepare.
Yeah.
The problem is that when you look at any sane human being, right, just a person who just has basic self-preservation skills, do life in prison or snitch on this guy. Snitch on this guy and do 20 years instead of life.
What do you mean?
Even if he didn't do it.
Sane. What do you mean sane? What do you mean?
Meaning that I think most people will end up telling on someone, even if that person had nothing to do with it, in order to save themselves.
That don't make you a sane individual.
Well, okay. It
Because
makes you,
because that's wrong. Because if you did
Right.
something,
I'm not saying it's right.
if you did something,
Yes.
you need to be accountable for what you did, and
Right.
that's it.
That's morals.
But that's how.
But that's not self-preservation.
Right. Yeah, that's not, you can't agree to be a part of something or take some sort of oath, do something, live in the realms of your criminality, be out here doing shit, and then soon something go wrong, you want to put it off on somebody else.
Yeah. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying that you got about, how many guys were involved in the actual shooting? Maybe about 4 guys?
I don't know.
I read through the paper.
Yeah.
You know, and one of the big problems is the guy that they say put it all together was on the private plane with Durk coming into LA. So that's already bad on that regard. But the thing is that you got 4 guys 4 to 5 guys that were really there. They're on video. You know, it's established. They came in. There's plane tickets. There's hotels. There's everything else like that. Those guys aren't getting out of the shooting, right? Those guys are probably going to go. I mean, you're talking about life in prison for a murder for hire. You're not getting a slap on the wrist for that. Let's just say Durk had nothing to do with it, had absolutely no idea that the guy on the plane was the one that put it all together and never told Durk. Durk had no clue, and if he knew, he would shut it all down. But then you got 4 or 5 people, they're all gonna say that he did it. And that's how you get convicted sometimes when you didn't do anything.
Right, and that's wrong.
It's wrong. Do you know people that have had this happen to them? Where you just know they didn't do it, but they had so many witnesses cooperating, it just didn't matter.
I got a friend that been in prison over 30 years for something he did not do right now.
What was he convicted of?
Murder, 2 murders. He actually is convicted. His friend got shot while he got shot. He convicted for his friend murder. Yeah. My man Earl Jefferson. Yeah, my man Black.
Sorry to hear that. Did he?
30 years. He's still fighting right now to get his freedom.
At the time that he was charged, did he know who actually did the murder?
I'm not that versed on all the details. He explained it to me, but I got a lot going on.
Okay, got it.
I just know it was a shootout. He got hit. His friend got killed. And then later on, some people went and took care of some more business because the dude got killed. And he got that body and another body, yeah. 50 years.
Damn.
50 to life.
Now, could he have cooperated against the people that were actually doing the shooting?
I don't know, and I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if that. I don't know.
Well, because one of my Vlad TV YouTube members, Andrew Karyuki 7231, he had a question for you. He said, "Do you love your kids more than the streets? If so, would you cooperate with authorities if they try to falsely charge you with a crime that you were completely innocent of that could potentially put you in jail for the rest of your life, or would you stay loyal to the streets?"
I'm not loyal to no street.
Okay. But do you understand the gist of the question?
I understand it. That's one of those questions. It's hard because I'm not loyal to no street, definitely. We've been out of the street a long, long, long time. I'm not out here pumping, I'm the illest street nigga in the world. I'm a street nigga, I'm a street nigga, I'm a street nigga, because what do being a street nigga actually really get you?
Nothing.
Pain, scars.
Jail.
Right, jail, wounds, a lifetime of ups, downs, and it's just more turmoil than than anybody would want to really address. But me and my friends ask those questions all the time to each other, fucking with each other.
Yeah,
right?
and how do you usually answer it?
We do, like, so we'll be like, yo, so if you out of town and you see on your camera somebody is breaking in your house and you got your kids in there, what do you do? These are all questions that these hypothetical questions.
You mean like call the police or not?
Right, would you call the police
You
or
wouldn't
not?
call the police if
First
your
of
kids
all,
were in the house?
We never
under
really
danger?
answered this question because we like a lot of this shit is not, we're not putting ourselves in the position for this to happen.
Okay.
Right? So these are questions that are super hypothetical, but for niggas that still feel like they hold a certain level of principles, right? I'm not gonna sit up here and say I'm going to tell the police.
Well, look, this is a situation with someone that we both know, right? My son. I don't know if you heard this part of his story, but years before I met him, there was a situation where he was with his friends and his friends beat up this cab driver. The cab driver, now at the time he was signed to Violator, he had a hot song out, he was anticipated to come out, be the next hot artist out of New York, et cetera, et cetera. So he's hanging out with his friends, a cab driver gets beat up, the cab driver ends up pointing him out of the lineup. He gets charged with this assault. He knows who did it, but those are his friends and he's got a street code. So he remains silent. He gets 7 years.
What? But was he a part of some
No.
sort of?
All the conversations I had with him off camera, he always said, I was not the one who did it.
I'm gonna give you one.
Well, no, let me just finish, right? So he ends up doing 7 years. Loses the record deal, of course. I think he had a newborn son at the time, so he misses those years raising his son. Comes out, and I'm like, what about those guys? Did they ever come forward to say, because yeah, we had some conversations, but they never came forward and say, listen, we did it. He didn't do anything. So he had to do his whole stretch, comes out, he has to start his life over. Record deal's gone, never materializes, and he has to figure out his way. Like me personally, I don't agree with what he did. I would have gone the other way. I'd have been like, listen, if y'all don't step up, I'm not going to jail for y'all.
Stop putting yourself in. Let me give you this other version of that.
Okay.
Because if you in the street, you really in the street. Sometimes that thing that you go to jail for may not be for what you may have done in that situation. But what about all of the things that you got away with? What about all the shit that you did that you didn't go to jail for? So sometimes your karma comes in a different way. You feel me? What about all the drilling you've been doing that you have not been caught for? So sometimes that karma comes in a different way. I had a childhood friend, Emil McDowell, was at a house party many, many years ago. It was an argument, bunch of grandstanding, dude beefing, fight break out, gun got brandished, somebody get killed. He got blamed for the killing. He didn't do it. He did not do it. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was sentenced to 20, 22 years or whatever.
Whew.
He knew who did it. He fought his way out, taught himself law, fought his way out, did about 12 years, I think, roughly 12, 13 maybe. And now is practicing law. He's practicing law in a major way, right? So he can't get his degree, he can't get his license, but he's definitely a paralegal. He works for one of the biggest firms in New York City.
Yeah, that's great.
So
but
my whole
those
thing,
12 years are still lost.
100%. But my whole thing is this: don't negate the fact that, that in that instance, you may be going to jail for something that you didn't do. But are you really an innocent person? Have you ever took life before? Have you ever done things before in this world right here? Now, if you're a totally innocent person, void of all criminal and conduct and crime behavior, then we talking about something totally different. But if you playing in this game and you out here shooting, you gotta factor that in too.
Okay, so let's just say right now, we turn off all the cameras and I brutally beat up my cameraman Spencer right here. But he goes to the police and said, Maino did it. Would you snitch on me? Would you say that Vlad did it?
You're gonna tell them, Vlad, that you did it. You're gonna be honest and say that you did it. Because you're an honest guy.
I am so scared to go to prison,
but you're
and I'd rather have
guy.
you hate me than go to prison.
No.
Because I'm a coward, right?
No,
and I'm not gonna say nothing.
You're so much of an honest guy. You're like, I'm not gonna let Maino go to jail for something I did. I did it. That's how that's gonna go.
That's how it's gonna go?
That's how it's gonna go.
Okay, but let's just say it doesn't go that way. Would you say, officer, actually Vlad did it, and I'm gonna explain to you how he did it? You wouldn't snitch on me? I'd expect you to snitch on me.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Right.
And it's one
I
of
wouldn't
those,
be mad if you snitched on me because I did it.
It's one of those questions. It's these hypothetical questions that lead you to the point, well, nigga, what you gonna do? Right? We ask those questions. This is what me and my friends do. Because we all older now, we out the game, we out the street, and we out here doing bigger things, and we got businesses, and we got things happening, so we sit there and say, are we still holding on to these street values, right? But one thing I'm just won't do is just sit up here and tell you I'm going to call the police on you. I'm not going to tell you I'm calling the police on you.
I'm not saying you're going to call the police on you.
I'm
But
not
when the
telling
police go to arrest you, are you going to say, I didn't do it? And they'll say, okay, then who did?
You're not going to let that happen. You're not gonna let that happen.
I'm not gonna let that happen.
Before we leave, after you whip his ass and beat his bloody, I'm gonna say, Vlad, now you know. You better let them fucking people know that this is your work right here.
I'm sorry, Spencer. I had to use you as an example right here. My bad, Spencer. Sorry.
It's a good guy here. Yeah. Let them people know this your work, man.
Jack Doherty, the popular streamer, got robbed for $300,000 in jewelry on Rodeo Drive, of all places. You've been to Rodeo, I'm sure.
Huh?
I'm sure you've been to Rodeo.
Many times.
Exactly. You know how safe it is. Supposedly.
Yeah, but that's how. So if a person is going out to rob, they're thinking like, all right, we're gonna go catch people where they gonna be lacking the most. Places like that where you think it's super, super duper safe. And for the most part it is. It ain't really too much friction happening over there, but come on, like, it can happen anywhere, anytime.
Yeah, he had a bodyguard with him.
And what he do?
Well, apparently what happened was the bodyguard actually talked about it afterwards. A car pulled up and a bunch of dudes jumped out. And he like tackled one or two of them, but then one of them pulled out a gun, so he was like, okay.
So he don't got a gun?
See, that's the weird part. I'm not sure. I don't see the point of having a non-armed security guard.
Yeah, that
I've never had one.
Yeah.
I've never had one.
Yeah.
Unless we're going into a place where they don't allow guns.
But I need you to have that fire. Check this out. Maybe he was with it, but
Or maybe he just didn't want to shoot right there on Rodeo Drive.
I don't know.
I mean, I wouldn't hire that bodyguard afterwards. And this is a big 6'9" looking dude, like.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't say, but yeah, that don't make no sense.
I mean, listen, I had heard of a situation, this was a couple of years back, where there was like a jeweler that was just having lunch on Rodeo, like one of those outside the Italian restaurants. He had a big Richard Mille watch on.
Yeah.
They jumped out, went to go grab the watch. Someone tried to resist. They got shot. They ran off with the watch. Now, a few months later, they all got caught. I would be surprised if everyone didn't get caught. Because, you know, when you drive into Beverly Hills, there's a big sign that says,
cameras and all that over there.
There's a sign when you drive into Beverly Hills that says, police drone presence.
Yeah, it's just.
There are drones legally circling around watching you. There are cameras at every store. They're gonna follow that car to wherever it goes.
Right. When you're hungry enough, you don't think about none of that.
You don't think about that.
Take a chance. So I would say that, niggas will try anything, anywhere, if they hungry enough.
Yeah, and look, me and you were talking about this for the interview. If you're gonna have any type of jewelry on, I'm not talking about $1,000 watch. I'm talking about, an AP, a presidential, big chains and so forth. Do not leave the house without being insured.
Right.
Like right now, I'm between insurance companies. This is why you've seen all these interviews with me, and I'm not wearing my watches. I'm not taking them. I have them in a bank somewhere. You see what I'm saying? Like, when do you hear of a bank get robbed and people go into safety deposit boxes and so forth?
You got a safety deposit box in the bank?
Yes. My watches are pretty safe there, right? Like all my watches are in a safety deposit box in some bank somewhere in case someone wants to start clearing the dock. But until my insurance kicks in, it's supposed to kick in a couple of months. No, not a couple of months, a couple of days. I just haven't been wearing my watches. Because my thing is, why take the risk?
So he was insured?
I don't know. But when you're insured, I feel like when you see these dudes get robbed and they end up dying in the process, most times it's because they kind of resist the robbery. Yeah. Am I right? PNB Rock, Pop Smoke. That's what I heard in both cases. Both cases I heard there was a level of resistance.
Yeah, I don't know. The Pop Smoke shit, I'm not sure. I'm not the Pop Smoke, the PNB. I just heard that he just was like not moving fast enough or something. I don't know.
You rob me, if you pull out a gun on me, now if there's no gun, then I'll try to protect my shit. But I'm saying, like, if you pull out a gun on me.
You wouldn't try the person with the gun?
No, absolutely not. 100%. You get the drop on me, you have a pistol, you can have it, my insurance company will pay me back at the end.
Yeah, I've been in
I'm gonna have to file a police report and everything else like that. If you get caught, you get caught. You're obviously taking a risk for armed robbery. That's on you. I don't have a problem cooperating against somebody who robbed me. Right?
You let us know that many times.
I'm letting you know that right now.
You got no problem.
Okay, well, how about you? Now, you have jewelry on, it's insured, we talked about this. Would you file a police report if you got robbed?
So I've been in this
Because
situation.
without the police report, there's no insurance claim.
Early on in my career, was this 2006? There was an incident, I don't know if you remember. I think me and you talked about this back then. When a dude tried to rob me in the sneaker store.
Remind me, it's been a while.
I was in a sneaker store in Brooklyn. Young dude ran in there, put the gun in my head, whatever.
To your head?
Yeah.
Oh shit, okay.
Fought him. Tussled with him and all that. Wound up getting the gun. He wound up being shot twice. Yeah, true story.
Good for you.
Good for me, definitely. Definitely.
Well deserved.
Yeah.
Okay, were you charged with anything?
No.
Okay, self-defense, right?
No. This happened inside of a store. So there was like a door the way to buzz you in. When he came in there to rob me, the other person that was with him wasn't able to get in because all of the girls that was in there ran out. So they ran out, and he wasn't able to get inside the store. So once that happened, he get hit. I go to run out. There's police out there already. They like, get down on the floor. I get down on the floor. They like the people out there like, no, that's Maino, that's Maino, that's Maino. They came here to try to rob me. So no, I never had to go to no court. I never got charged, nothing. He actually was saying, yo, he shot me.
Oh, so he was trying to tell on you?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely, that happened.
Ain't that some whole shit?
But this is how you
Ain't
know.
that some, I just gotta say, that's some whole ass shit.
That
you get
definitely
shot with your own gun trying to rob a guy, and then you blame the shooting on the guy.
Right.
Okay.
But this is how you know, like in the inner cities, they don't really care. They don't really care. Had this happened in like a real neighborhood and maybe a different complexion, I could have probably went to jail. They didn't really care because once they said that this guy was doing a robbery and he got caught with the mask still on his face, like, didn't matter. It didn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, so he was charged with robbery?
Attempted robbery. Mm-hmm.
Did they ask you to cooperate, take the stand?
100%.
Yeah.
Lady called me one day. Never forget this call. Driving down Atlantic Avenue in Brooklyn. I get a call from a number I don't know. This is Officer such and such. I'm a detective. She told me straight up, I know you're not coming to court. I just had to, for what it is, for all my job, put the call in. And I said to her, you already know I ain't coming, so that was that, you know? So he had, it was witness, that's in the case, witnesses, because you did this in a business.
Right, was there like a camera in the actual business?
I don't know, but it was witnesses, it was store owners and all that.
Right.
They went into court and dealt with that. Like there was actual people, like you know what I mean? So.
What happened? Do you know the outcome of his case?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Didn't care.
I don't know. I think he got killed for something else later on, but I don't know his actual outcome though. You know, young niggas, you know, dumb young. This is a long time ago, but just dumb shit that happens in the hood. Yeah. So I know what it feel like to be in that state of mind where I felt like, man, I ain't getting this nigga nothing. This nigga bugging. You know, and part of the reason why is because I used to rob people before. So, you know, but one thing I learned about robbing niggas is that if you robbing somebody, you need to give them space. So even like with police, when they train them, like they give them space.
Yeah,
because,
fully extend, yeah.
But if you extend your gun and you sitting your gun on somebody's head, I got my hands, I could knock the gun away, I could move the gun like so I can do all these things because you're standing too close.
I mean, but it takes so much when a gun is, so it's touching your head.
Yeah, it was right here.
So, I mean, think about it. As you move your arm, pang, that's it.
No, not if you're too thirsty to worry about jury. So when I did like this and he went to grab it with his left hand, so now his focus is really off. His focus is on a chain so much that he not really peeping where I'm going with this, right? So it's like, all right, give me all right, cool. Once he grabbed his left hand, now he got both hands basically preoccupied. In his mind, he's basically trying to get it off my head, which led me to be able to grab the gun and move it up, away from my head. So what I'm saying is that if you brandishing your hammer or you doing anything in that nature, you supposed to be some space between you and the person so he can't smack the gun, grab it, do anything. Even if you kill yourself in the process, you're not supposed to do that. Like, give him some space. So you're not gonna reach out, you're not gonna make a stunt, you're not gonna make me kill you, like whatever. Yeah, you could have made me, I don't want to kill you, I came to rob you. Right. You just made me kill you now because I'm so close to you that you acted out that now my gun went off and now you dead.
How much was that chain?
That chain was probably only about 20,000. Definitely not worth my life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. You put a gun to my head, I will gently take off my necklace and give you my watch and give you my wallet and say, have a nice day. I'm gonna get all this back eventually.
Yeah.
And but right now, 2025 Maino, would you have handled it the same way?
Where I'm at today in my life, nah, definitely.
So you would have just given him the chain?
I don't think I would play my life like that. You know, it was a reaction. I felt like, because I was offended, more or less. Yeah.
Like you're robbing Maino?
Right. I
was it in Brooklyn?
It was in Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn, you're robbing Maino?
I was offended because I felt like, nigga, I'm out here putting on, and it was before I really got popular, but yeah, I was just like, I'm out here putting on. I was on the DVD. This is the DVD era.
Right.
2005.
When we met.
2006, exactly. Yeah. So it was that era right there, and I'm like, you want to do this to me? Like a nigga that's like you, like putting on, that's on the same type of shit as you, that's for you, you know? So yeah, I wasn't parting with that. Yeah.
Well, Keefy D is still locked up. He had a fight in prison.
He never got out?
No, he's still locked up. He's still in jail. In fact, he was charged for fighting an inmate recently and convicted of it. Yeah.
They gave him a new charge for fighting an inmate?
I mean, I'm sure whatever the charge is probably a slap on the wrist. Yeah. But apparently they say that he like caused the fight or something like that, so he had to go to court and he was found guilty and so forth. What's interesting though, number one, I just want to say this. I mean, he's like 60-something years old. Whatever you do in life, make sure by the time you're in your 60s, you're not in jail rolling around with other inmates. That's just the worst possible situation for a senior citizen. For a senior citizen.
Nah, I'll tell you one even better. Being a young nigga in prison, 18, 19, 20 years old, and seeing older dudes in there. And then one day becoming that old nigga in there.
Ooh.
That's even worse than that.
Ouch.
And I'm not saying that from a joking standpoint, because I lived long enough to see that happen to people that I know.
Yeah.
I lived long enough to see that happen to niggas I know. To be the young nigga in the yard, to be known as the young nigga, to be like the young wild nigga, and to see all the old dudes and be like, man, these OGs, these old timers are. What up, Pops? Like, you know, we used to call old niggas Pops. Yeah, Pops, niggas, look at this old dude. And life will move that fast if you ain't careful. And then one day you wake up and you Pops. Cause you done came out a couple times and you may not have been able to get it together, and now you the old guy on the compound. That to me is way worse than anything. Like, what? Because in your mind, you can remember being the young dude, being 17, being 18. You remember the lessons that you learned in prison. You remember what you was going through. You remember, all of the bumps and bruises that you took on the way, right? And you remember these things. And you remember those old, you never forget them old niggas, ever.
Well, back to the Keefe D situation. So he's still awaiting his trial. But what was interesting is he tried to get his case overturned, right? Basically saying, I was never in Vegas, this is all bullshit, I was just making this stuff up to make money from interviews and trying to sell some books. But in the process of him trying to get out, he also tried to say that, I was offered a proffer deal that I should hold, but he actually showed his own paperwork because, when he cooperated, the Greg Kading thing where he was recorded talking about the whole shooting and everything, that was like 2006 or something. He provided his own paperwork where he cooperated both 1998 and 1999. And we read through the paperwork. He blamed, he blamed Reggie Wright Jr. for killing Tupac and Diddy. Suge, he said Suge was a big drug dealer. Mob James took over the drug operation. He said, Diddy killed Tupac, Suge killed Biggie, and he basically was naming all these people that we all know and telling on all of them.
Mm. So he been telling. He's been telling. Work.
He's been telling.
And this was you said this was in 98?
98 and 99. Tupac got killed in 96.
Oh, wow. So did he have well, obviously you didn't have immunity, nigga. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So his case, so he's going to trial?
Yeah, probably like next year.
He didn't get bailed out?
No, they tried. Wack100 actually tried to bail him out. They played my interview in court where Wack is talking about bailing him out.
Right.
They used that interview to not bail him out.
Damn.
Which, by the way, I had no idea what the rules are. He, just brought it up on himself.
Mm.
And by the way, we talked about this in my last interview. I tried to squash whatever issues you and Wack had. Unfortunately, it didn't work. It didn't work. But I tried. I'm like, listen, I'm cool with both of y'all. Is it that serious?
It was nothing.
Yeah.
It was nothing. He didn't even say nothing. But he proved my point as far as him understanding the internet, right?
Yeah.
It's not a place where you need truth. So I was a nigga that was always trying to stand on principle, trying to stand on truth. It don't matter. If something he's saying is like a lie, it don't matter. He gonna say it. He said he spoke to the girl, and the girl said I was sleeping on the couch and all that. It's comical. There's no woman on this earth who could tell you that I was ever on the couch. But it don't even matter. It's just it don't matter.
Look. I remember when I was on Cameron's podcast. They said if I regret any interviews I'd done, I said, well, I brought in Gene Deal to talk about the Biggie murder, but he talked about a bunch of other stuff which ultimately didn't add up. He talked about situations where I've interviewed people that were actually there that said, no, it didn't actually happen. So what was Gene Deal's retaliation? Him and some other dude made a whole video about me. I guess they had gotten, my mom, she just wrote a little book about her life that she put out on Amazon. Yeah, just a little self-published stuff. I didn't even know she was doing it, but apparently they got her book and they read through it. And they did this whole story about Vlad's mother came to America in 1978 and went to go work for the Navy. That same year, 2 KGB agents got caught. So therefore, she's tied. She's a KGB agent that infiltrated the Navy. It was a whole big story. And I'm like, this is just funny.
The internet is,
it's just fun. I'm like, I'm not even going to try to defend this because it's so silly. It's so silly.
It's like, whatever, man.
My mom's never been charged with anything. My mom's
a I get it.
a retired lady.
I get it. And after a while, it took me a minute to understand that, though.
I wasn't even mad that they made this video. I just thought it was funny.
It was funny.
It was just funny. You know?
Laugh shit off.
Well, Tay-K just got
the little
sentenced.
kid from
Yes. The Race?
he.
Remember that
That
song,
song,
The Race?
yeah. So he had another case.
So he was convicted for a murder in 2016. It was, I guess, a home invasion, robbery that turned into a murder. He got 55 years for that. There was another murder that happened the next year in 2017 where he tried to rob this dude for his camera equipment that turned into a murder. That was in 2017. He already got 55 years for the first murder. He got 80 years for this second murder.
Why so much?
I think the first murder, he wasn't even the trigger man, but he was like involved in it.
55 years for one murder.
Yeah, and he was like, I don't know, 16 at the time or something.
I think younger than that.
Let's see.
I think he was younger than that.
Let's look it up. So Tay-K was born in 2000. He was 16 when the first murder happened. He was 17 when the second murder happened. So he got 80 years for the second murder, which I'm assuming is going to run concurrently with the first murder, so he'll do 80 years total. Or whatever.
Do 80 years, just do it. Fuck with Vlad.
No, listen, I made
Do
a tweet.
80 years, nigga,
I made a
that's
tweet
fucking-
about this that got like 2 million impressions.
Ain't no such thing.
I said, Tay-K is getting released in the year 2105. He'll be 104 years old.
Ain't no such thing as doing 80
Right.
years.
I said, keep that in mind before you decide to crash out over some stupid shit. Right. I mean, look, obviously he probably won't live until the age 104 in prison. Now, that 80 will turn to what, maybe 40 if he's lucky? It's a murder though, so I don't know how much they really chop up in the state.
Whole life.
Basically the rest of his life. And if you saw him on the stand, he had a big gash, a big like keloid on the back of his head.
Oh, he got cut?
He got cut. Obviously the jail time is rough for him.
I mean, that's jail. Like, you're gonna have contention.
Yeah.
You're gonna have some friction.
Yeah, I mean, look, I could say this with all, free Tay-K, hashtag free Tay-K. Now, if he was fighting his ops, and these were, for example, the K-Flock situation, I feel for K-Flock. The dude approached him, he had a gun on him, I might have done the same thing, if I had my gun on me. And if K-Flock was in Florida, walks away clean, stand your ground. Seriously, Georgia, stand your ground. I interviewed Lil Tim, right, who killed King Von. He got off, stand your ground. I get it. So I feel for K-Flock. But Tay-K killed 2 innocent people for some robberies. Like, honestly, I think he's where he deserves to be right now. I don't want Tay-K running around.
The thing about that though, Vlad, I need you to understand this though,
Okay.
right? The mind of a child, right, doing things that normal people wouldn't do, right? You can't, who you are today, when you was 15 and 16, you wasn't the same person.
Absolutely.
You are not the same person as you were as a teenager. The decisions that you were making based around your age, your environment, your circumstances, they changed, right? You was allowed the opportunity to grow and you became a man and you said, damn, that was crazy. I did something crazy back then.
Yeah.
Right now, some people.
I got arrested during that age,
Okay.
for robbing a store. I get it.
Some people, like I said earlier, they develop differently. So you take a young man like him who's 15, 16, whatever his social situation was, whatever his environment was, that all plays a factor, right? Then we gonna take his whole rest of his life behind mistakes that he made. He did something that wasn't right, but is he like a fucking conscious, grown serial killer? Your mind is not even fully developed at that age. You're not making rational decisions at that age yet.
So you think that 80 years is too long?
I'm saying,
For his second murder?
I'm saying the 55 years, I'm saying like for any child that makes a decision in that instance, right? You're gonna just basically end his whole life, right? He doesn't get a chance to redeem himself. He doesn't get a chance to see the wrong. And when he did, he's just straight punished for the rest of his life. It's over for him, lights out. Lights out. I don't really agree with that because I know and understand that the mistakes that you made, as a teenager, the decisions you make as a teenager, who knows? I mean, he could have been a fucking, by the time he got to be 35, 40, he could be a fucking community leader. If given the opportunity.
So if you were the judge, what would you think would be a fair sentence?
Fuck me being a judge. I've been him. I've been him.
Yeah.
I've done things in the street that, you know, man, I'm still here, right? And I say I could have been my lights out, could have in many different, you know, various different things. But what I ultimately say is, damn, what if it would have been lights out for me, going to prison for the rest of my life, and me not being able to grow and get to the point that I am right now, and being the person I am now. So it's easy to say, oh, he's an animal. He fuck it. He deserves 50, 100. Give him 1,000,000 years. Fuck him. But it's like, we talking about a 15, 16-year-old kid. Like, this is not the mind. Now, if he was 30 and did this, that's something totally different because you fully developed.
Yeah, look, his sister took the stand, said that he was really abused by their father.
There you go, and I don't even know nothing about him.
Yeah, that the dad would, like, I guess,
I
tie
don't
him
know
up
nothing
and
about
beat
him,
him
Vlad.
and stuff like that.
All I know is that song, and I know what I've been seeing on the internet is false. I don't know what the situation is, but I do understand coming from the inner city, what the issues we have growing up and us lashing out very early. And he probably was super duper hungry. He wanted and didn't know how to take his frustration, take his emptiness, take his misdirection and put it into something that was, you know, positive or anything. Or somebody pulling him and saying, yo, nah, I'm not gonna let you fall by the wayside. I'm gonna bring you with me, I'm gonna help you, you understand? So many kids and lives ended, man. Lives ended behind a decision that they made when they was children.
It's just a sad story all around.
Yeah.
No winners, just all losers.
All losers.
Every single person in this story. All the people lost their lives, him, his co-defendants, I think, were hemmed up in this situation as well. Like, it's just all sad, and he had a hit song along the way, so he had potential, and it's just, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, it's just all sad. Well, this is a little closer to home with you, though. 5-year-old foreign. You know him personally. I've interviewed him before.
Yeah.
You know about his situation?
He got a case.
Yeah.
Nothing that's gonna have him in jail for 40 years, though.
Definitely not, because nobody got shot. But on January 18th, he got locked up for an incident that happened on New Year's Day in Jersey. A woman's car broke down in front of his place. He allegedly pulled out a gun. So he said, if I see you parked in front of this building again, there's gonna be a fucking problem. He pulled out a gun. Witnesses saw him, called the police. He was arrested, charged with unlawful possession of a weapon, aggravated assault, and terrorist threats, and 2 other charges.
Yeah, he been locked up the whole time, but if is everything that's being stated at the actual fact, we don't know.
We don't know.
Alleged witnesses have said all kinds of things, you know what I'm saying? So I just don't take the word of what's being written, you know what I mean? I'm in court watching fucking witnesses get on the stand and lie. You understand? So that's a given, man. But his situation, yeah, that's my guy. That's the little homie. I wish him all the best in getting out. But I don't know what the real story is. I'm pretty sure if you heard from him, the story would differ greatly. You know, yeah, I just don't take the word of what's being said. It's like reading those RICO indictments from the feds, and like, if you read that, you would think that this nigga was running a fucking criminal organization and everybody was fucking in line and it was command. No, nigga, these niggas was just a gang. Niggas didn't even know each other. But if you read the narrative and let the narrative bleach your dome, you'll be like, oh man, these niggas is the most dangerous organization ever. Organization?
Yeah, no, listen, I interviewed Quando Rondo right before he, a few months before he turned himself in for his Fed case. Mm-hmm. And we went through the case and he was being basically charged for being in a gang. That's basically it.
Well, just being in a gang alone is not.
No, but what I'm saying is there was a whole bunch of people that were like selling drugs and so forth. Right. He got hemmed up in the situation.
Right.
And we went down the line, I read the case to him, he goes, yeah, I know that guy, no idea who this guy is, no idea who this guy is, no idea who this guy is. Yeah, that's my friend.
Right.
Yeah, I know this guy as well.
But if you read the paperwork,
but
it
the
would
paperwork,
be like,
that's what I'm saying. It was like, and he was, at that point, it didn't matter. He had already pled guilty. He was just waiting his sentencing.
But by the paperwork, the way that it's worded is like, second in command, and this guy's the enforcer, and it's like they use all these words to paint these pictures, to create these narratives, to use in court, to prosecute us, and then fucking sentence us to fucking billion years. That's it. That's it.
This video somehow popped up on my timeline recently. The Big Sean red carpet.
How's it feel to be here today?
Man, it feels good. It feels good to see my homies.
You know how to do that on purpose, right?
Huh?
Hold on. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Listen to me.
What's up?
You know that wasn't on purpose.
Okay.
Real talk. I'm a nigga. I'm a man before anything.
That's real shit.
Hold on. Real shit. You understand what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
You understand? You know, in the midst of me talking, you feel me?
Motherfuckers, I know how that shit be.
When it's really big, you feel me?
It is a little Sean too, though.
Right, but I know. Exactly.
Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying? And I didn't reach out because I was waiting to see you personally. You see what I'm saying? Because niggas always want to try to make something out of nothing, my nigga. You feel what I'm talking about?
Nigga, I already know.
Respect. You feel me? And niggas, like, come on, man.
I know how that shit be too. That's real shit. That's real nigga shit.
For real.
That's love too, man.
All right. Keep banging, my nigga.
Yeah. You too, cuz.
What we doing?
Yeah, I seen that.
When was this? Because this looks pretty old.
That's super old.
But the title is,
I don't know why.
When rap bully Maino G-checked Big Sean on the red carpet, rudely interrupting his interview.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, Maino, I know you.
Right.
I know you, and you are a little aggressive at times. Not with me, but you are kind of aggressive in general at times.
That wasn't, see, it's context is with everything.
Okay.
So what had happened was, I was in the studio and I was running my mouth about rappers, and I was just talking shit. And I had made mention to him, but I referred to him as Little Sean, not Big Sean, and I didn't do that on purpose. So when I saw him, I think maybe I had felt like somebody told me that somebody around in his camp, they didn't like that, or I had felt like I caught some wind of somebody having some sort of discomfort towards what I was saying, because it was basically seeming like I was doing it on purpose. But because he was little, he was new then, and because he was little, I kind of like referred to him as Little Sean. So when I seen him, I just was basically letting him know, like, that wasn't done on purpose. That's it. I wasn't checking him. I wasn't checking his temperature. I wasn't pressing him. It was just the way that I did it. I seen him he was doing an interview, and I just seen, I'm just that kind of nigga. Let me just address it now.
You could have waited after the interview.
For what? I'm not, I got
man,
you right
I love
now.
You, man, but
So just so that we can clear the air. Because listen, how many problems start because of a misunderstanding?
Right.
So now, regardless to what, we won't have a misunderstanding now, because guess what?
Right.
I told you on the red carpet that wasn't done on purpose. Mm-hmm. That was not done to try to put you down in no kind of way. That wasn't about nothing. So basically, I was making that clear, and that was that. And I don't even know if he didn't know what the fuck I was talking about.
It seemed like he was a little
He was
confused.
like, I didn't even heard that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's just me, like knowing, like I just like to clear the air. Like I like to address the shit around me. Like I don't want, It was, but that's super old. That's over 10 years.
Yeah.
That's old.
This hits a little close to home to you as well. There's a little drama with Lil' Kim and her boyfriend or ex-boyfriend, Tay Brown. You know about this whole thing?
But the little dude,
Yeah, he's like 24, she's 50.
they was fucking.
I believe so. But then I guess like he claims that once he had a baby with someone else that she stopped working with him. And he also said about how the verses between Lil' Kim and Nicki Minaj didn't happen because Kim found out that Nicki would get paid more. He also said that Nicki once invited Kim to perform at a concert at Barclays, but refused to pay her for the appearance. That's why she didn't show up. And the Kim and Nicki thing have been going on forever.
Right. But yeah, I can understand that.
And listen, Nicki obviously admired Kim a lot. Even some of her early photo shoots were like homages to Kim. And to me, I've always been a little sad that the two of them didn't come together to
we
do
didn't get a
stuff.
chance
Because
to
it really
see
is
that.
two generations of women who are exceptional at their craft.
Of greatness, right?
Of greatness, exactly.
We didn't get a chance to see that. But if you know Kim will hold a grudge. She'd take a grudge to the grave.
That's what it is?
Yeah, she'd take it to the grave.
That's too bad.
Yeah, too bad. Yeah.
That's too bad. Because I've learned over time that no one really wins with these grudges.
Nah.
Someone should
It's
really
just
humble themselves at some point.
Lost out opportunity, lost friendships, lost out. Look, she ain't spoke to me in what, I don't know.
Oh, so you guys don't talk anymore?
Man,
You guys used to be real cool.
real close.
Yeah.
She haven't spoken to me in maybe about, 8 years, maybe 9 years.
Is she mad at you about something?
I really,
I guess so, huh? Okay.
I really don't.
I'll take that as a yes.
I don't know, man. I've not done anything, to, impose on that woman's livelihood or health or anything. So I don't know what I could,
I feel, especially in hip hop, women will hold grudges longer than men.
Yeah, women because they're emotional.
Yeah.
They're emotional. So it's probably, I don't know what's going on with her and the young nigga she was jumping in the bed with, but maybe the relationship crossed certain boundaries. Maybe it was like, you my artist, but I'm attracted to you at the same time. Let's jump in a sack, every now and then. But you still my artist, and those lines got crossed. So he probably like, yo, what's up with the music?
Yeah.
She probably, on her emotional. So, yeah.
Yeah, man, listen, Kim is one of the greats.
1000%.
And if you really, to be fair, right, I think it's hard to argue, though, that Nicki Minaj, in terms of her accolades, is the greatest female rapper of all time, just overall. I'm going to say it. And it's not like me and Nicki are cool or anything. Last I checked, Nicki doesn't like me. But I'm saying, in terms of the overall sales, the impact, how long she's been doing it and continues to move the needle and so forth, I would have to give it to Nicki as the biggest female rapper of all time. Shout out to Lauryn Hill. Probably had this biggest album from a female of all time, but then she stopped.
Stop. Nicki never stopped.
Nicki never stopped.
Nicki's still going now.
Kim stopped at one point.
Kim stopped.
Nicki never stopped.
Nicki never. And I think that was always Kim's detriment. Her own worst issue was probably, herself and her lack of ability to continue to keep going, for whatever reason. If it was personal reasons or if it was, a relationship, whatever the reason was, she just always fell back.
Yeah, and I interviewed Stevie J, and he confirmed what I'd always heard, And that is when Biggie was alive, she really just leaned on him to kind of just do everything, to the point where he would be in the booth with her.
Right,
a lot of her songs was
but
completely.
But you got those references that came out.
Exactly.
Biggie,
he would rap it and she would re-rap it.
100%.
So I think that with her main, person just gone.
Right, but Biggie been going longer than he was here. So
no, that's true.
At what point do we adapt a new level of hustle, especially when the game is so ever changing? The game is changing, it's sped up. You gotta actually do more, you gotta put in more. You gotta hustle differently. You can't use the same tactics you was using 15, 20 years ago today.
Yeah, true.
Right? So, but, it is what it is.
Yeah, I just heard the other day that Vado and Misa
Right, I heard that today. Yeah,
are suing Mary J. Blige for $5 million because they claim that she held Vado's career back. And I know Vado. I've interviewed him from the DVD days. So I was just sort of like, huh? Like that was a little...
No, but Vado was signed to Mary.
I understand that. But a $5 million lawsuit just seems a little crazy. And Misa being involved in it sounds a little crazy too, because there's a Diddy connection, because they have a kid. She has a kid with Diddy.
No Diddy connection. That's their own relationship.
No, I understand that. I'm
Misa
just sort
and
of...
Mary was friends, so...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So now she's suing Mary.
Right, so I guess the friendship is in the toilet.
Well, can't really be friends with someone who's suing you. I mean, that's kind of a basic rule right there.
Right,
you
that's
know?
a basic rule.
Yeah, basic rule. Listen,
Think if I sued you, Vlad, would we still be cool?
me and Mo Preem, Tupac's stepbrother, used to be cool. He sued me over a goddamn photo that I used during an interview that I did with him. Yeah.
Really?
Yes, I had to pay like $10,000 for a fucking Tupac photo that he mentioned, he talked about in the interview.
10,000.
Yeah, plus the legal fees, which was probably another 10,000. So it cost me like 20,000 for this stupid lawsuit. People are claiming that I'm making it up, and it's like, Google it. Hot in Here versus Mo Preem Shakur. It's on the system. Do you know Sean Kingston?
Yeah, I mean, I've met him, yeah.
Him and his mother were found guilty of wire fraud.
Unfortunate.
20 years they're facing each.
Unfortunate.
Each. And what people don't know is when Sean Kingston first hit the scene, his mom was in prison for fraud.
Yeah, his mom's, yeah.
So she's been kind of like a lifetime.
Probably that's
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He grew up in this type of environment.
Right.
But let me ask you a question, right? Because you could almost compare your career to Sean's in a certain way. You know what I mean? You guys both had big songs early on. And, but over time, the songs aren't as big as those original big songs when you have the label pushing behind you and stuff like that.
Right.
So you've had to make a way.
Right.
You've had to figure things out.
Right.
When you look at someone in a similar position, I've never heard of you scamming. I've never heard of you stealing from anybody. I've never heard of you telling jewelers, let me use this watch and I'll bring Drake in the next day and then just run off with the watch. Like, your jewelry has always been consistent.
Don't make no shit up on him, Vlad.
Right.
He didn't do that.
No, that's what he was doing. He was ripping off jewelers. He was ripping off jewelers.
The jewelers been ripping niggas off for since BC, man.
Okay,
Come on,
I'm not justifying what the
not just
jewelers
be
do with their
fucking-
prices, but ultimately, if you agree to pay the price, they're not forcing you to buy a necklace with them. You can go somewhere else.
Right.
To go and take something from someone and say you're going to give it back and then just change your phone number, or Escalades, took Escalades, never gave it back.
How do you take an Escalade?
Hey, we'll give it to you. All right, cool. Just pay us back. I'm going to bring all these clients to you. Me and Justin Bieber are best friends. Rah. And then you just never return the shit. I remember there was a picture. He had a 200-inch TV in his room. That was one of the charges.
The TV?
He took a TV, they put it in, and he just never paid him back.
Shit ain't even funny, man. I don't like this for. Damn, man.
What do you say to someone who's in the same boat as you but decided to go that
I don't know, because you gotta understand, I'm biased, bro. I'm always gonna go with the
artist?
With the guy, the criminal, the guy. I'm always gonna go that way because, especially if they ain't been convicted or if it ain't been proved, I'm always gonna
He has been found guilty. Him and his mother have been found guilty. They just haven't been sentenced yet. Okay, so we're not.
Still though, I understand this. This music shit.
And let me tell you, hold on, and here's some details. Over $1 million in fraud involving jewelry, luxury vehicles, and other goods, including a $160,000 Cadillac Escalade, and jewelers for $480,000. $500,000 in jewelry that he took and never returned.
I ain't got no sympathy for no jewelers, man. Them treated jewels they've been passing off the niggas, them old watches is with fucking, I ain't got no.
No, listen, I get it. I got a watch from the dude Gabriel, the jeweler. When I went to get it appraised for my insurance, it was a yellow gold presidential. One of the links was rose gold that I never noticed. The gasket wasn't an original Rolex gasket, and the you know, like the clear plastic on top, that was aftermarket.
Right.
It took me about $1,000 to get it back the way it's supposed to be.
There you go.
And when I started calling him, he wasn't answering his phone. So I was like, fuck Gabe the jeweler in my interviews. And when he called me, you know what he said?
What?
Why are you snitching? He didn't even
Part
say I
of the
didn't do
game.
it. He said, why are you talking about it now?
Right, it's part of the game.
Fuck that dude. But I'm
Right.
saying,
It's part of the
still,
game. But the thing is this.
if I ripped him off, I'd still be guilty.
Right, so the thing is, I don't know what his situation is, what it was, what he was going through, but I do know this lifestyle, this, you know, his ups. You know, he was living, I think, Miami, and you know, and you know, he had some success, and you never want that to stop, bro. You never want that to stop. In your mind, that's you never want that to stop. You always feel like you one hit away, you know, you got this fame, but then you might not have the bank account to match it. So, you know, I guess in his situation, they used his fame, they leveraged his fame in a way to get all these things, but they wasn't paying for it, which I could understand to a certain extent, but it could have been an easier way to still end up with all these things, though. If you, I don't know, man, because I don't know what kind of games.
Listen, I've always been cool with Sean Kingston. We've only had positive interactions. I've interviewed him near the beginning. I've gone to his house parties, always been polite, always been gracious.
Right.
I know me and Zach Katz
don't
and
wanna
JR,
see him
I'm
get-
friends
I don't-
with, those
JR,
label
definitely.
owners.
Zach, I know,
I don't
yeah.
want to see him go to prison,
I don't
but
wanna-
at
yeah, I
the
don't
end of the
wanna see-
day, I mean, what are you going to do?
Man, it's not, he ain't hurt no, look, nobody got shot,
Right.
right? Nobody bled, nobody was in the hospital.
Yeah, no,
nobody-
he's probably not going to
Yeah.
get 20 years, but his mother, who's older, who has a criminal history, is probably going to get a bigger penalty.
They need to
Because
let-
now she's a repeat
They
offender.
need to let him get probation and call it a day, man.
Well, we'll see what happens. Hopefully he'll get it.
Let him borrow a couple more watches from some jewelry.
Final question before I let you go. This has been going viral on the internet recently. Who would win? One gorilla or 100 men?
That don't even make fucking sense, man. Vlad, how does that even make sense? 100, first of all, 100 men
Yes.
trying to get on one object is not gonna matter. First of all, it's too many men.
Right.
100, you're gonna be so packed up that the 89th man is 20 feet away from what's happened to where the gorilla's at. It's gonna be so many people. The gorilla only gonna be fighting 10 people.
At a time.
Yeah, beating it. Yeah, servicing them. Yeah.
Because remember, the gorilla could also bite. Something like
Everything.
1,500 pounds per square inch.
What?
A gorilla could bite your arm off.
Right.
Easily.
So all them dudes really gonna be doing is waiting in line to get murdered. That's the only thing gonna be happening. They ain't gonna be in line to get murdered because they ain't gonna be able to swing. What they swinging at? Last man gonna be swinging at it's a circle.
Right.
It's too many fucking men. It's too many. 100 niggas. You gonna be punching your man in the back of his head. You know what it feel like to try to jump somebody and it's just too many of y'all?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah. So the nigga that you jumping don't even really get scathed because it was just too many.
Yeah, like Orlando when he got jumped by Tupac and all them. He didn't really get that hurt.
Right, but they stomped on him.
They stomped on him, but he didn't.
But I'm just saying,
end up in ICU.
Right,
Like,
but yeah, sometimes it's just too many people, and when it's too many people, you can't get proper hits in. Like,
well, the gorilla's gonna be doing his job though.
a gorilla gonna be in the middle and what? He gonna be stepping on them. Breaking arms off, biting.
The question, who's gonna lead that charge, right?
Huh?
Who's gonna lead that charge?
Yeah,
Who's gonna be like, come on, follow me.
Yeah, who number one? Cause that first 10 is out of here. And by that time, like, the other 90 niggas is like, all right, this is not a good idea. How is that a good idea? Did you say 100 men with guns?
No.
Knives?
Unarmed.
Vlad,
How do you even hurt a gorilla? Because a gorilla has thick skin.
Vlad,
And a gorilla has the strength of about 10 men.
Vlad, what we talking about is no way. First of all, Vlad, it's not happening.
Yeah.
100 people is not even. It's too many.
Well, I think the thought is that the gorilla's worn down by the end.
That's the thought.
You know,
That's
that the first 50 kind of like hurt it a little bit,
okay,
you know?
They dead though.
Right, they're dead.
They're
But
dead.
at least the gorilla might be a little tired and it might be beat up a little.
Gorilla tired. The gorilla tired, but y'all don't got no weapons. What y'all gonna do? What y'all doing to him? What y'all really doing to him if y'all not stabbing him?
Right.
What are y'all doing? Punching him?
Punching him,
Punching
yeah.
the gorilla. Heard you.
Yep. Kicking the balls, maybe.
Animal cruelty, man. Leave him alone.
Yeah, I don't see it happening. I don't see a win. Even if it's like, I even did a poll with 100 MMA fighters, and someone asked Grok, to try to analyze this. That's the AI system on Twitter.
Right.
And Grok was like, yeah, no, the 100 MMA fighters will still lose.
So it's a silverback gorilla, man.
Yeah.
Do you understand the fucking pressure per pound that what? First of all, the first nigga, he gonna squash the first nigga head like a peanut. Boom. I'm out of there.
You know what's crazy?
Outta there.
You know what's crazy? I put up this flashback. There's a guy named Ronnie Newt, right, who I interviewed. This was a gangster from San Francisco. He had a group of boys called the Neutrons. You know, his sons formed a group, and they were assigned to Joe Jackson, Michael Jackson's father.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he's telling me these crazy stories, but then he's pulling out pictures. Here's me with Michael Jackson. Here's me with Joe Jackson. Here's me wearing Michael Jackson's glove. Here's with Michael Jackson and Bubbles, and so forth. And what he told me, and this is on video, he said at one point, the kids were at Michael Jackson's house, and they were playing with Bubbles, the monkey, and Bubbles bit one of his sons. He said he saw Michael Jackson beat up Bubbles, hit him like a 3-piece. And Bubbles like went off in the corner and cowered.
And I'll never forget, the kids was playing with Bubba, so Bubba bit Jay.
Bubbles is the monkey.
It's the monkey. Bubba bit Jay on his arm. And Jay said, Dad, he bit me. Michael said, he did what? He said, Bubba, did you bite him? He said, Michael said, bam, slapped him to his knees. And Bubba said, I said, what is he doing? Michael said, praying for his life, because he know he done did the wrong thing.
So Michael Jackson beat up Bubbles.
He hit him with an 8-piece.
With an 8-piece?
With an 8-piece. Mike was fast.
Really?
Oh my God.
But monkeys are really strong though.
Yeah, but he couldn't mess with Mike. Mike hit him so fast, man, he was down on his knees, praying
So
for his
Michael
life.
just beat the crap out of Bubbles.
He hit him with an 8-piece.
Hit him with an 8-piece.
Like Mayweather hit Pacquiao.
Michael Jackson beat up a chimpanzee.
Oh man, yo, I be hearing the Michael stories about Michael. What they said, Mike checked Tupac.
Yeah,
you ain't see that one?
No,
this got all kinds of Michael
ridiculous.
Jackson stories.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. But he was really there. Like if you watch the video, we actually show the pictures.
Right, I believe. Maybe.
He's literally holding Michael Jackson's glove at his house.
Maybe.
And you know what was interesting also? There was a picture on there, right, which had his son in Michael Jackson's house in his tidy whities, right? Which he took. His sons were having sleepovers at Michael Jackson's house with him there, right? With him there. And he said that when Michael Jackson had the child molestation case, the prosecutors approached him and said, listen, we'll give you so much money if you say that Michael Jackson molested your son, because we got this picture and we could put it together. And he said, if Michael Jackson molested my son, I would have killed Michael Jackson. So no, I'm not, you can keep your money. I'm not doing that. You know, and this is someone who really shot a lot of people over the years and so forth. So he was dead serious.
Well,
So
maybe Mike had Bubbles trained to the point where he knew not to play with him.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I heard Bubbles is still alive, actually. He's like in a sanctuary somewhere and so forth. He outlived Michael.
Wow.
I really heard that, you know?
That's crazy.
That's what it is, Maino.
Yeah.
Until next time, man. What you got? Anything you got coming up? You want to talk about? What's going on with the TV show? I mean, the
it's coming,
show.
man. I'm gonna let you know it's coming. I'm still working on it.
All right.
Still working on it.
Still working on it?
Still working on it.
That's what it is, Maino. Until next time, peace.
Peace.